Guys, online students and offline student, please check your audio and video settings, please.
This meeting is being
Morning,
recorded.
guys. Yeah, I think we completed Spring Core module. We all set for which module now? Spring Data JPA. Are you ready for that? One thing you remember, guys. Spring Data JPA for database interaction. Most easiest way of talking to database software is what? Spring Data JPA. We don't write logics, but we can perform code operations. Right now, trending way of connecting to database software and performing code operations on database software is what? Spring Data JPA. Spring Data JPA. Everyone getting my point there, guys? Come on. Super, guys. Okay, guys. Debugging we will discuss later, guys. Let's focus on what? Spring Data JPA. Let's open the paintbrush. Spring Web includes in Spring Data JPA. Spring Web is a separate module. Spring Data JPA is a separate module. Dirty fellows, after these minutes also still asking Spring Web includes data JPA or not. I don't know in which dunya they will travel, boss. How many days back I have given module names? Web is separate module, AOP separate module, right? Scheduling, actuators, cloud. So many module names I have given, right? Yeah, Spring Data JPA, guys. What's the today's date? 25th. Yeah, introduction to Spring Boot Data JPA. I already said one thing. We entered into Spring Core module, we learned Spring. Then we entered into Spring Boot module. We understood basics of Spring Boot, guys. Come on. So now onwards, every module of Spring we will learn in Spring Boot angle to develop different types of logics and application. I want to talk to database software and I want to perform code operations on database software in the most easiest way without almost doing nothing. Okay, for that one, data JPA module is there. Same thing I want to do on NoSQL MongoDB database software. We have got data MongoDB module is there. I want to develop web application, WebMVC module is there. I want to do scheduling module is there. I want to process huge amount of record batch by batch. Okay, we have Spring batch module is there. I want to develop a RESTful web application, RESTful web services, REST module is there. Yes or no? I want to develop microservice architecture application, cloud module is there. Like this, we have lot of modules. And all these modules we are going to learn based on what, guys? Cloud. Simply based on what? All these modules we are going to learn. Simply literally based on what, guys? Okay, Spring Boot. So Now onward, every module name you say Spring Boot Data JPA, Spring Boot MVC, Spring Boot Actuator, Spring Boot Scheduling, Spring Boot Cloud, everything we are going to learn in Boot Angle, guys. Super. Tell me, Spring Data module or Spring Boot Data module is the main module. And that is having what? Multiple sub-module. Data JPA, data MongoDB, many things are there, but we are going to mainly discuss what? Data JPA for interacting with what? SQL database software. MongoDB to interact with what? NoSQL database software. Everyone getting my point? Okay, you want I will show those 30 plus modules, guys. Hussein, chairs. Spring data here, guys. Check it out. How many are there? Modules. Common JDBC, JPA, LDAP, MongoDB, Redis, REST. Come on. Cassandra, Geode. These are the main modules we got. And support community modules also there now, boss. But out of which how many modules we are going to learn? 2 modules. Spring Data JPA for interacting with the database software, SQL database software, like Oracle, MySQL kind of thing. MongoDB are going to learn to interact with what? MongoDB NoSQL database software. Nearly 30 plus submodules are there in Spring Data or Spring Boot Data module, out of which we are going to learn 2. Okay, this is for what, guys? For SQL database software. This is for what, guys? For NoSQL database software. This is for SQL database software. This is for what? NoSQL database software. First of all, tell me, these 2 modules are basically there. These 2 modules are there basically there for what purpose? For developing persistence logic. What logic? Okay, let us start from 0%. What is persistence? The process of storing and managing data for a long time is called persistence. The process of storing and managing data. Okay, guys. The process of storing and managing data for a long time is called persistence. Are you getting my point? Storing and managing data for a long time is called persistence. What is persistence store? The place where data will be stored and managed for a long time is called as what? Persistence store. Example, files. Other one is what? Database software and etc. Super, guys. What is persistence operations? Insert, update, delete and select operations performed on what? Database table are called persistence store. Persistence operation. Files, database software where data is saved is called what? This one. Yeah, tell me. These persistence operations are also called as what? CRUD operation. CURD, CRUD operation. C for create, U for update, R for read, D for delete. Persistence technology or what? Framework. It is technology or framework using which we develop the persistence logic to perform persistence operation. Nothing but what, guys? CRUD operation. JDBC is a persistence technology. Hibernate is a persistence framework. And Spring Data JPA is also what? persistence framework. Are you getting my point there, guys? So final conclusion is saving and managing data for long time is called persistent. In Java, we started with JDBC, later Hibernate, later Spring JDBC, later Spring ORM, lastly Spring Data JPA. Spring Data JPA, Spring Boot Data JPA, one and the same. Don't worry much. If it is developed in Spring Angle, Spring Data JPA. If it is done in what? Spring Boot Angle, Spring Boot Data JPA. That's it. Nothing great, nothing. Are you getting my point there, guys? Come on. Yes, guys. Need of persistence technology or what? Framework. Shall we start understanding this, guys? Everyone. Need of persistence technology or framework. Java application talks to files using IO streams now. Same Java application can talk with what? RDBMS database software like what? SQL data. What do you mean by SQL, guys? Where we can execute SQL queries. Where we can execute SQL queries. Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL and what? Etc. Are you understanding my statement, boss? Okay. Java application uses JDBC to interact with RDBMS database software. Okay. Same Java application can use what? OR mapping to even interact with what? RDBMS database software. I hope you got it, guys. I want reply, my dear. Come on. Super, guys. OR mapping, object relational mapping. Object relational mapping, OR mapping was perfect. Files are not good persistent. Array, why we should not prefer IO streams and files I am telling now. Why we should prefer second one. See, my idea is very simple now. First, we will make files bad, automatical IO streams outdated. IO streams means what? File input stream, file output stream, that one. Okay. Then we will think about talking to RDBMS database software, either using JDBC or OR mapping. We try to understand why JDBC is bad. In that process, we'll understand importance of OR mapping. When I say OR mapping, Hibernate comes into picture. But on the top of Hibernate, who are designed? Spring ORM is designed, Spring Data JPA is designed. In that process, we'll understand the importance of what? Spring Data JPA or not, guys. So first make files bad, IO streams automatically becomes bad. When you make RDBMS database software good, we have to use either JDBC or OR mapping. In that process, we'll try to find out limitations of what? JDBC, so that we can understand importance of what? OR mapping. Why? Because your Spring Data JPA, Spring ORM, Hibernate, all these are working on which model? OR mapping model. What do you mean by OR mapping, guys? Object relational mapping. So let's start with the limitations of files, guys. Files are not good persistence store, so they cannot be used in what? Medium and large scale projects. Oh, which is good, guys? Database softwares are good as persistence store. Tell me, sir, what's the problem with files, my dear? Security is there with files. Security is there with files. Number two. Do you have security with the files? No. Can I apply constraints in the file? Primary key, foreign key? No. Next one. Can we compare one file data with another file data? Can we do really, boss? So that's bad, right? Okay. Next one. Can we store a huge amount of data in a single file? Can we store a huge amount of data in a single file, boss? Is it possible or not possible, Agai? Is it possible or not possible? Okay, guys. Next one. Can we perform update and delete operations smoothly while working with the files? Is there any SQL support on the files, guys? When SQL support is not there, can we perform delete and update operation easily, boss? Can we retrieve the data by applying multiple conditions easily from the files? When these many problems are there, we should entertain or we should not entertain. We should entertain or we should not entertain. Yes, boss. Tell me. Limitations of files as the persistence stores. Limitations of files as the persistence store. A. Tell me what is A, guys? Cannot store huge amount of data. Cannot store huge amount of data. Next, guys. Okay, no security. No security. C. No support for SQL. Next. No support for, come on guys. No support for applying the constraints. No support for applying the constraint. What kind of constraints, guys? PK, FK, come on. PK, FK, and etc. Okay, guys. Alright, PK is not there, duplicates are allowed, na? Should I write again, duplicates are allowed? People won't apply, Ra Babu. Next one. Retrieving data by applying multiple conditions. By applying multiple conditions. Conditions is very complex. What is there? F. What is F, guys? Come on, tell me. Performing. Okay, what? Performing delete and update operations is quite complex, right, guys? Okay. We cannot keep files in relationship. Parent file, child file. Can I keep that, guys? Files in relationship. Comparing one file with another file is a very complex process. Is a very complex process and what, etc. Convinced or not, guys? So to overcome all this problem, we can use database software, and to interact with the database software, we can take the JDBC, initially we used JDBC, later OR mapping. Our focus should be on OR mapping. That means we must understand limitations of what? JDBC. We must understand limitations of what? JDBC. Are you getting my point? If you use plain JDBC as persistence technology to interact with what? RDBMS database software, the following limitations are there. What are there, guys? The following limitations are there. Super, guys. Tell me. JDBC logics use SQL queries, and these SQL queries are database software dependent queries or not? Oracle SQL queries are different from MySQL SQL queries. MySQL SQL queries are different from other SQL queries. Are you understanding my statement, boss? Come on. Got the clarity, my dear? I want reply, boss. Come on, guys. JDBC logics use SQL queries. These SQL queries are what? Database software dependent queries. Persistence logic use database software dependent. Changing database software of the project is very difficult process. Okay, we need to write lots of what? Boilerplate code, repeating code. Already I discussed, na? What is that? Except query execution, result processing, remaining all lines will repeat in what? Every JDBC code, right? Lot of boilerplate code is there or not there? SQL queries are database software dependent. Changing logic from one database to another database software is difficult process. Other day we are forced to take 2 DAO classes. Because of that, qualifier came into picture. Profiles came into picture. Some pain we have taken. Suppose my persistence logic is database software independent, no SQL queries are there, then single DAO I can talk with any database software or not. That is possible with ORM. When you go to ORM, there is no need of writing 2 DAOs for 2 databases. We can write single DAO and we can make it working for any database. Without touching the source code, we can change it to what? Another database software. Is it not interesting, Babu? How it is possible? We don't use SQL queries. We make objects representing records. Everything we do on the record through objects. No SQL queries. No SQL queries. Objects are database software independent. Java objects are common to any database, right, guys? So automatically persistence logic becomes database software independent or not, guys? What's the biggest failure with JDBC? SQL queries. What's the problem with SQL queries? 60-70% queries are common across the multiple database software. 30 to 40% are database software dependent. If those are there in our application, even though one word is there which is having database dependency, for every database you are forced to take separate DAO class or not, guys? As query changing, when query changes, logic changes. Yes or no, na? In the middle of the project, changing database software is easy, difficult. Difficult or not, guys? Especially if you don't have a plan, you will change the database. All of a sudden, you are asked to change. Developing one more DAO and switching smoothly is very, very problematic cascading effect or not, guys? Sir, why they change, sir? Let them be with Oracle forever, na? Oracle is a commercial. Company is not doing well. They need to renew the license of Oracle every year. Company not doing well. Then they think about using free softwares or not, guys? Can we deny the fact? We cannot. And lot of boilerplate code also. Sending query, getting results and passing result. Except these two lines. Remaining all lines are repeated lines in JDBC code or not. Loading driver class, establishing connection, creating statement. Okay, closing JDBC connection, exception handling. These are repeating statements or not, guys? Throws all its exceptions as a checked exception. So checked exception handling is mandatory or not? Checked exception handling is mandatory or not, guys? Needs to go for exception propagation separately. Needs to go for exception propagation separately. Super, guys. Tell me. Result set object is not serializable object by default, right, guys? So to send its data over the network, we need to convert result set object data to other collections data. All collections in Java are what? Serializable by default. All collections in Java are what? Serializable by default. Is that clear, my dear? I want reply. Okay, guys. First, we have to convert result sets of that data collections data. Then we have to send collection from one layer to another layer or over the network. Or in our mini project, we did that work or not, guys? Lot of pain we have taken or not? We each record into one Java Bean class object. Later added all the Java Bean objects to list collection. List collection we sent it to another layer, right? Problems are there with the JDBC or not, guys? Limitations are there with the JDBC or not, guys? To overcome all these problem, use OR mapping persistence logic with the support of what? ORM or JPA softwares like Hibernate, IBTs, Blink and etc. Sir, what's the difference between JPA and ORM? JPA is the theory, ORM is the practical. Based on JPA theory guidelines, rules and guidelines, okay, the softwares that are created are called ORM softwares, object relational mapping softwares. A course brochure is the plan. All faculties who are conducting classes according to course brochure are the practical people, right, guys? The real people who's conducting classes. JPA is like course brochure. ORM softwares like Hibernate, IBTs, Toplink, etc. are what? Faculties who are conducting the classes. Okay, JPA is like a building plan and ORM framework software, Hibernate, IBTs and etc. are the buildings that are constructed according to the plan. The buildings that are constructed according to the plan. Convinced, my dear? Got the clarity, my dear? I want reply, my dear. Come on, everyone. Okay, guys. JPA is a theory of OR mapping. ORM from software is what? Practical of OR mapping. Super. OR mapping allows to develop objects based persistence logic without SQL queries as a database software independent persistence logic. What, guys? As a database software independent persistence logic. Are you getting my point there, guys? I want reply, my dear. Super. JPA is a software specification having rules and guidelines to develop ORM software. Sun Microsystems has given JPA specification. Software Tree Company has given Hibernate as ORM software. Oracle Corporation has given Toplink. Eclipse has given Link. Other vendors have given other ORM framework labos. So that means JPA is like a course brochure. ORM softwares are like what? Practical implementation of those course brochure. Okay, guys. Hibernate is running based on OR mapping persistence logic. Spring ORM internally uses Hibernate. That means again OR mapping persistence logic. Spring Data JPA internally uses what? Hibernate. That means again OR mapping persistence logic. So we must understand what is OR mapping persistence logic or not, guys. Very simple. No SQL queries. Objects represent records of the table. Java class objects represent records of the table. And using those objects only, we perform code operation. Object 1, record 1. Object 2, record 2. Object 3, record 3. Object 4, record 4. These objects are Java bean class object, not the Spring Beans. Not the Spring Bean. Don't bring Spring into picture here. They are Java bean class object who are more there to hold the data, right? I want to insert the record using Hibernate kind of ORM framework. Take a object, create object, sorry, take a class, Java bean class, create object, fill with the data, and give that object to ORM framework like Hibernate. What this Hibernate will do? Internally generate JDBC code plus insert query, insert the record. Now, this Hibernate links object and record. Now onwards, anything happened on the object reflects to record. Anything happened on the record reflects to object. Observe very carefully. I am creating object, giving object to ORM framework called Hibernate. It is internally using JDBC and insert query to insert the record. Yes or no, na boss? Am I writing insert query or insert query generated here? Tomorrow, object recorders in synchronization, in the linking boss. I want to read the record. Read the object data. Nothing but reading record, na? Do I need to write select query? No, na? Is it not interesting, Rababu? Come on. Okay, next one. I want to update the record. Update the object. The moment you modify object, reflects to record or not? Super. I want to delete the record. Take the object, give to ORM framework, ask to delete the record. ORM framework internally generate JDBC code plus delete query, deletes the record, and keep this object ready for garbage collection or not. Maybe for other operation also you may use. Yes or no, na? Is there any need of SQL queries in OR mapping, guys? Everything can happen through objects or not, guys? Very simple, guys. Mapping every record as an object of Java class or Java bean class. Definition. The process of mapping or linking Java class with DB table. One class, one table we link. Java class properties with DB table column. Member variables of Java class we link with what? Columns. And making what? Objects of Java class representing DB table records having synchronization between them is called what? OR mapping. Are you understanding my statement, boss? Come on. Are you don't create object, Rababu. Whenever you loaded the record, representing record, objects will be created by whom? ORM framework. Come on, guys. Objects will be loaded by whom, guys? ORM framework, not you and me, right? Not you and me, not you and me. Between them is called what? OR mapping. See, guys, the process of mapping or linking Java class with DB table. Class is mapped with the table. Class member variables are mapped with the columns. And we are making objects of Java class representing what? DB table records having synchronization between them is called as what? OR mapping. Synchronization between objects and table records is nothing but the modification done in objects will reflect to DB table record and vice versa. Vice versa means what? Reverse also true. What is that? Reverse also true. Entity class or model class or domain class, guys. When object is deleted, record is deleted. First of all, we don't delete object. We can keep object only for garbage collection, right? So that's why we give object to ORM framework like Hibernate, say that delete the record. It deletes the record and keeps object ready for garbage collection or uses same object for other persistence operation. Yes or no? Na? We don't have right to delete the object. As a programmer, can you delete the object? JVM should garbage collect the object, right? So by giving object, when you ask ORM software to delete the record, it will delete the represented record, but keeps that object ready for garbage collection or free to perform other arithmetic or other persistence operations. Yeah. Everyone please focus. Next 5-10 minutes, no questions. The class that is mapped with the DB table in OR mapping is technically called what? Entity class or model class or domain class. It's basically Java Bean class, right? Class employee, ENO, ename, salary, getter setter method. Normal simple class na boss? Okay. Let us assume you have a table like this. EMP table, employee number, employee name, salary. Okay, boss. Tell me, boss, class is ready, table is ready. Now we should do OR mapping configurations now, boss. Either using XML or using annotation. Either using XML or using annotation. Are you getting my point? Either using XML or using what? Annotations. Either using XML or using annotations. Okay, guys. Tell me here what is there. Class is mapped with the table. Any problem? Voice is clear, my dear. Everyone. Muhammad, what's the issue? Mr. Muhammad, what's the issue? Without telling the issue, if we keep the finger down, what's the meaning of that? All good? Clear voice? Super. Tell me, what's the class name? Employee. What's the table name? In OR mapping configuration, either we do in XML or we do in what? Annotation. Which is good, guys? Annotation. What are the annotation? We'll discuss later. We are linking class with the table, member variable with the table columns. Yes or no? Na? Entity class properties, DB table column. When you do all this thing, okay, during the programming, what we do? We make objects of this class representing DB table records, but to having synchronization. Synchronization means what? Any modification done in objects reflects to table row. Any modification done in table row reflects to object. Check it out. It's a Java application. How many objects of employee are there? 2. They are representing how many records, guys? 2 record. Through what software? ORM software. Let us assume salary I changed in 9,000 to 11,000. Reflecting here, salary in the table I changed it what? 8,000 to 9,000. Reflecting here, that means both are there in synchronization or not, guys? Tell me, boss, as a developer of this Java application, to insert the record, to update the record, delete the record, to select the record. Am I going to write SQL queries? I'm going to play with objects which are representing the records. Okay, now see, look at this scenario. I want to insert a new record. Create new object for employee class, fill up with the data, give to ORM software, asking to insert the record. What ORM software internally do? Generates JDBC code plus insert query as required for Oracle database software. Inserts the record. The newly inserted record and object will be there in synchronization. Okay, now I want to read the record. Do I need to write any query or just read the object data now? I want to update the record. Do I need to write update query or modify the object? When you modify, it will reflect in the table. I want to delete the record. Already object is there. Use that object to whom? ORM framework. What it will do? Internally deletes the record by generating what? JDBC code plus SQL query and makes this object ready for other persistence operation, or if no usage is there, ready for garbage collection. Can I say in OR mapping, entity class objects are like actors playing the roles called insert, update, delete, select operations on database records? One role is over. Object can be used for another role. Yes or no? Na? Another record or not, guys? So can I say entity class objects are like actors having capable of performing roles called card operations. Roles called card operation. One role is over does not mean actor is died. Actor is alive. Role is over, right? In Don movie, Shah Rukh Khan played Don character. At the end of the movie, he died. So Don died or Shah Rukh Khan died? Huh? Don died or Shah Rukh Khan died? Don died, character died, role died, not the actor. That means same actor can be used for lover boy in another movie. Same actor can play CID officer in another movie. Same actor can play, okay, badminton coach or what? That is what? Such whatever it is. Okay, check the India, right? Some match coach, okay, in another movie or not, guys. So now tell me, if someone asking me when record deleted, object deleted, no guarantee. It may delete, it may not delete. It depends upon how you are using the object. Interesting or not, boss? No need of writing lengthy JDBC statement. No SQL queries. You create object representing record. When you load the record, you will get object representing record automatically, and we play with the stories. We definitely literally play with the stories or not, guys? Are you getting my point? Understanding my statement, boss? Here we give all persistence instructions to whom? ORM framework software in the form of objects. And the ORM framework generates what? Database software specific SQL queries dynamically. Since objects are database independent and we are going to deal with only object while developing persistence logic, we can say OR mapping persistence logic is what? Database software independent persistence logic. I want to ask ORM framework, delete the record. We use object to ORM framework. By seeing that object in delete query will be generated by using JDBC code internally or not? Are we? That is fixed code or dynamically generated code? Are we generating or ORM framework generating? That is fixed is for every database or database to database changes. One thing you remember blindly, boss. In Java, JDBC is the only one thing who can send SQL queries to database software. You use X, Y, Z layers at the top. At the bottom, JDBC must be there in order to send SQL query to database software. Why, sir? Database does not understand any other instruction except SQL query. Whatever dances you do at the top level, whatever dances you do at what? Top level. What level? Object based persistence logic, no SQL queries, everything happening whatever. At the bottom, Okay, JDBC will be there. It will be sending and executing what? SQL query in database software. After all, database understand SQL query is not the objects, not the Hibernate, not the X, not the Y, not the Z. They understand only one language, that is SQL queries. Or for example was farmer is there. Government wants to pass instruction to farmer. First, minister will take the decision, pass it to collectors. Collectors will pass to what? MROs. MROs will pass to what? Village assistants. Village assistant will pass to farmer. Let us assume collector came directly to talk with farmer. Do you think farmer understand collector's knowledge, collector's language, collector's high level capacity of statements? No. So that's why maybe at the top level, collector may be there, deputy IAS, IPS, minister, foreign education, whatever it is. When decision is taken, and if you want to pass that decision to farmer, it has to be passed to what? Village assistant who belongs to that local area and who understands and speaks what? Local language in the way the farmer understands. Same story here. We are increasing layers. We are saying no SQL query, everything through objects. But database ultimately understands what? SQL query. That's why whatever layers we are using, at the bottom of all those things, bottom line thing is what? JDBC, who actually prepares and sends what? It's SQL query to database software for execution. So if someone says JDBC outdated, laugh at them. Direct utilization is reduced, but JDBC is never outdated. Why? Because in Java, JDBC is the only one thing who actually can send SQL query to database software. So directly or indirectly, JDBC must be there or not there. Village assistant, MRO, all these people are removed. Directly collector came to farmer. Is it possible every time? Okay, let us pause it. Can he convince the farmer? Collector comes with a high-end setup. And moreover, in North India, South Indian collectors will be there. In South India, North Indian collectors will be there. Wantedly, they do like that. So that corruptions can be avoided, right? Anyhow, politicians are meant for corruption. At least bureaucrats also should not entertain what? Corruption. That's why if you observe very carefully, a lot of Misras, Agrawals will be there as collectors in what? Telugu state. And north side, lot of Reddy, Chaudhary, Naidu will be there as what? Collectors. Why? Because at least bureaucracy should not have what? A regional feeling, corruption feeling. Because in their own area, they try to do corruption. If they are outside, they think that why to fight with locals? At least they try to follow rule book, right, guys? Similarly, politicians also should be interchanged, guys. Politicians also should be interchanged, right? Okay. Possible, huh? Possible, huh? Not possible, huh? If that is really possible, if that is really possible, so a lot of intercaste marriages will happen. Everyone says I am South, everyone says I am North, and one India now, Modi desire of one India will be succeeded, right? But it's a long way to go. Fine, guys. All ORM framework internally generates what? JDBC code plus database software SQL queries towards completing persistence operations on what? Dev. Now listen. Now onwards, always remember one thing. In OR mapping, the objects of Java class are Java bean class, representing DB table records, right? Are like actors who can play the roles called what? Third operation. Once a given role is over, okay, same object can play another role, or can be ready for garbage collection. It can be anything happen. So can I write one comment on that? What is there? In OR mapping. In OR mapping, come on. The objects that are, what is there? Representing records. The objects that are representing records. The objects that are representing record can be treated as actors playing the roles. What guys? Playing the roles of performing one code operation. One code operation at a time. One code operation at a time. Once the given code operation is over, once the given code operation is over, once the given code operation is over, we can say the object can be used. The object can be used for other code operation or can be made ready for what collection? Garbage collection. Can be made ready for garbage collection. Yeah, list of ORM frameworks, list of ORM softwares. In the market, we have multiple list of ORM softwares are there. If anyone says JDBC outdated, are you going to agree for that? Directly or indirectly, JDBC is required or not required? Yeah, list of ORM softwares, guys. Hibernate from Softtree company, and now it is acquired by Red Hat. iBait is from Apache, Toplink from Oracle Corporation, Link from Eclipse, OJB from what? Are you understanding my statement, guys? JPA. ORM is the implementation of JPA specification. Come on. JPA means what? Java Persistence API, guys. Come on. OJB, Object Java Beans. Object Java Beans. Are you getting my point? All ORM software framework internally use what? JDBC to generate JDBC code plus SQL queries as required for underlying database software based on object-based persistence instructions received from the developer through Java application. See guys, developer develops OR mapping persistence logic using ORM framework that internally uses driver and talks to database software. Check it out, guys. OR mapping persistence logic means Hibernate logic. That internally uses Hibernate framework. That internally uses JDBC code. That code internally generates what? SQL code and executes to database software through SQL queries. Which goes and executes in database software through SQL queries. Are you understanding my statement, guys? Okay, boss. You understand if you know JDBC, boss. You don't understand anything if you don't focus. Rakesh Kumar, using one object, multiple operations like create, retrieve, update. If we try to roll back, is it okay, sir? I think can understand while developing application. Are one operation at a time. One operation at a. I am not saying connection is same, na. Connection is same. What you said is problem. But I said only object representing record is same, boss. Connection is different, right? Mr. Rakesh Kumar, when I say object, that is not connection object, Rababu. That is what? Entity class object representing the record. First, it has been used for insert operation. Role is over. Same object I use it for what? Update operation. Same object I use it for what? Delete operation. Since connection is different each time, is it going to be any problem in rollback? All the four operations, same connection is used. Problem is there. But as though object is same, entity object is same, connection is different. Each persistence operation, I'm going to take separate JDBC connection. Okay, guys. I think you understood, guys. We develop OR mapping persistence logic using ORM framework. That ORM framework internally uses JDBC technology. That JDBC technology generate SQL queries and JDBC code. Those code and that code delivered SQL queries will go to database software through JDBC driver. Through JDBC driver. So directly, indirectly, there is a utilization of what? JDBC. In Java, operation on database means, especially SQL database means, like Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, directly or indirectly, JDBC role will be there. Directly or indirectly, JDBC role will be there. Are you getting my point? I want reply, boss. Okay, now listen carefully. Now onwards in OR mapping, with respect to entity class, with respect to object-based relational mapping based persistence operation, if I say the word save object, what object? If I use the word save object, it is not really saving the object in database. It is all about collecting data from object, inserting the record by internally generating what? JDBC code plus insert SQL query. JDBC code plus insert SQL query. Are you understanding my statement, guys? Come on. Save object, load object, loading the record from DB table to entity class object is called load object. Be ready, I use these terminologies a lot. I use the word save object. Don't think that I'm keeping object in database column. Sorry. I am trying to put the object data into DB table record. Load object means what? I'm not loading object from hard disk or JVM memory. Loading the record from database table and putting into object. So object is not ready. It will create new object and put into object. Updating object, guys. We update the object, but relevant record in the table will be updated or not. Deleting object, it is not actually deleting object, deleting the record represented by the object. Later object may become ready for garbage collection, may become ready to play next role. may become ready for next role. Save object sounds like I'm keeping object in database table column. Actually not. Save object means collecting object data, inserting record into table as a record. Load object means what? Not loading object from heap memory. Loading the record from table, loading the record from table and putting that record into object created for entity class. Object created for what? Entity class. Updating object, guys. What is that? Updating the recorded data that is represented by object. Deleting object means what? Deleting the record represented by the object. The deletion of record, the represented object may be ready for another persistence operation or may be ready for what? Okay, garbage collection. We perform all persistence operation on objects, but ORM framework reflects these persistence operation on DB table record by generating JDBC code plus database software specific SQL queries. But we got multiple persistence layer technologies in Java, developing persistence logic like Hibernate, Spring Data, JPA layer, etc. But all these layers internally use what? JDBC code plus SQL queries to send and perform persistence operations on database software. Persistence operations on database software. The Java bean class that is mapped with the DB table is called model class or entity class or domain class or persistence class. What class, guys? Persistence class. Come on, tell me next one. Advantages of what? OR mapping. There should be one or other advantage for OR mapping now, boss. No need of writing SQL queries. They will be generated dynamic. As a programmer, you need to write SQL queries, boss. As a programmer, do you need to write SQL queries in any angle? Is it not advantage? I have given object to ORM framework, asked to save object. ORM framework internally generate insert SQL query. I have given object to ORM framework, asked to update object. ORM framework internally generates the update query. So queries will be generated dynamically or not. Allows to develop objects-based persistence logic as database software independent persistence logic or not. Yes or no? I want reply. Got the clarity? We can work with objects directly, no need of SQL queries. Change of database software in project is very easy. Change of database software in project is easier, not easier, boss? Definitely easy process. Agree with me, my dear. Come on. Super. Most of the ORM frameworks, most of the ORM software throw their exceptions as what? Unchecked exception. So catching and handling exception is optional or mandatory, guys? Optional or mandatory? So whatever problems are there with the JDBC, we are solving them. Use select operation records directly as list of entity object. No need of you converting result set into Java bean objects into list collection. It only directly giving what? List of entity object. Suppose your persistence operation is selecting 10 records. You don't believe. Hibernate itself, Spring Data JPA itself directly gives list of entity objects. You need not write any extra logic. So sending them over the network is very easy process or not, guys? Supports advanced features like caching. Suppose you are performing same persistence operation back to back multiple times. First time get the results, put into the cache, use it multiple time to reduce the network round trips between Java application and database software or not. But every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, empty the cache. So that later if database data is updated, we can get the best results. Okay, for example, in google.com, you are searching 7 wonders. First time. What it will do, you know? Go to internet, search for all 7 wonders related websites, bring them into the cache of the browser and give to you. From the same browser, within no time, again you type 7 wonders. Do you think it again hit the data internet to get the results? It will happily collect from the buffer. But every time collecting from buffer also danger. Their 8th wonder is there, but still it is giving 7 wonders. That's why the cache will be emptied at regular intervals. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. After 5 minutes cache is required, sir. And 5 minutes, 1 lakh request came. Then it will be useful or not? 5 minutes, 1 lakh request came. Then it will be useful or not, guys? Caching, versioning. Caching keeps the results and uses them across the multiple same requests. Versioning keeps track of how many time record is loaded and modified. Keeps track of record modification count. Timestamping keeps track of when the record is modified lastly. These are the built-in features. We don't need to put our energy. Do an annotation, automatically that feature is on. Think about keeping track of how many time record is modified. Difficult it is in JDBC. Because we need to recognize modification done or not. Then we need to increment the count manually. But this Hibernate says, you add one annotation, I will take care. Dynamic schema generation. This is another beautiful concept. You need not to create tables and sequences. Based on the entity class you design, the table will be generated dynamically. Table is already there, uses it. Not there, creates it. Modifications required, alters it. So that means you need not to create the table. You can, if you design entity class perfectly and effectively, table generation will be taken automatically, guys. Use multiple generators to generate ID value or PK column values dynamically. Let me say one thing perfectly, guys. A good programmer never makes such a database column as primary key column, which is having outside business world links. Taking mobile number as primary key column looks like a great thought because it's a unique number, right? But that's a bad practice. Why? It is having link with outside business world, guys. Outside government policies, boss. Tomorrow central government decided not 10 digits, we should have 11 digits. You should modify in the database. Primary key disturb. Primary key based foreign key disturb. Foreign key disturb means another table disturb. Another table disturb means another class disturb. When these many classes are disturbed, service classes will be disturbed. Overall projects are disturbed or not? Yes, sir, no, nah. I know what you studied in Oracle classes. Taking Aadhaar number as primary key column. Mobile number as primary key column. Stupid activity. Innocent activity. If you know and doing means stupid activity. Unknowingly you are doing means innocent activity. Better not to take. Suppose you are taken Aadhaar number as what? Primary key column. Modi has got the mode. Let's add IND before Aadhaar number. For BJP party, all of a sudden national pride will come into picture, right? All of a sudden in a given moment they give the feeling BJP loves the nation. Let's reflect everywhere. Yes or no, na? Sometimes they give the feeling, "Arre, we are not loving the country. Let's start loving the country." Yes, by doing this kind of activities, right? Add IND before the vehicle number. Add IND before the Aadhaar number. Nowadays, IND also they are trying to change Bharat. Yes or no, na? All these are related to government policies, boss. Any moment they may change, right? So better not to touch such numbers as what? Primary key column. Then what should I take, sir? You take serial number, boss, specific to your application, your project. 1, 2, 3, 4 serial numbers. Any problem? Is there any business world touch for that? Either your database generated numbers or application generated numbers. You take as primary key columns, not the one who are having outside business world link. Luckily, when you take application specific data, database specific data as what? See, a primary key column, we have a generator to generate such numbers without having any link with what? Outside business world policies. Outside business world policies. They have their own algorithm. They don't have link with what? Modi policies or mobile number policies or voter card policies or PAN number policies, right? We have multiple generators. They use sequences. They use auto increment concept within the project, within the application, within the database. Nowhere related to what? Outside world business policies. Is it not interesting, Rababu? Such facilities are there in JDBC? Yeah? JDBC gives generators? No, everything we should code manually. We should okay, we should do a lot of hard work, then only JDBC will be done. I listed only few features, boss. Many features are there like this. Number one, programming is simplified and programming benefits are simplified, especially generators, boss. You want to start your serial number from 1000 onwards? Yes, you can do. You want to give gap of 5 to show more customer though less customers are there. You can do that because all these are your logics, right? 1000, 1005, 1010. How many customers are there? 1020. Actually, 8 customers are there. It sounds like 20 customers. Because your algorithm that is. Such generators are there supporting such thoughts. Are you understanding my statement, boss? Come on. Advantages of OR mapping. Limitations of OR mapping. Only advantages, no limitations. Someone asked me one question. Sir, for every record, one object means 100 records are loaded at a time. 100 objects. 1000 records are loaded at a time. 1000 objects. Costly affair in Java, na? Yes or no, na? That's why use Hibernate or use OR mapping where there is a requirement of manipulating limited number of records at a time, not the huge number of records at a time. In that situation, I still recommend you people to work with what? JDBC. Why? You will select 1000 records at a time, single result set object. You select 2000 records at a time, single result set object. Its own problem, any number of records, single object. But in Hibernate, 50,000 records at a time, 50,000 objects for entity class. 50,000 object creation means costly affair. Memory wise, CPU time wise, costly affair. In Java, object creation is not a small task, it's a costly task. If you are manipulating max to max 500 records at a time, in worst situation 1000 records at a time, you may think about using OR mapping. Remaining all situation, better not to think about what OR map. Moreover, manipulating more than 1000 records at a time is your bad practice of programming. Who asked you to manipulate? Report is demanding, sir. Go for presentation, boss. Report is giving to 20,000 records as part of report generation. Use pagination, display 50 records per page. Display 100 records per page. That's a good sign, na? When you are displaying, come on, guys. When you are displaying 50 records, 100 records per page, 200 records per page, you are limiting your count to what? 200 records. That means 200 object. Manageable, come on. Mr. Varun, worst case I said 1,000. Worst case I said 500. In that situation, I have given solution also. Go by pagination in the report generation. Don't be busy writing, Ra. Listen my wordings also, boss. I only said worst. I am only giving solution for pagination, which will be forced to select what? 100 to 100 records at a time in worst situation also. If you select more and more records at a time from DB table, then more and more objects should be created for. Any restaurant or hotel is there nearby? Or residential area is there? Fine. Okay. Created for entity classes. This may lead to memory issues. Application may crash. 1 lakh records I selected using OR mapping. 1 lakh objects for entity class should be created. In my JVM memory, heap memory, such space is not there. Not there, what happens? Stack overflow, stack underflow. Whatever will come or not, guys. Solutions are use JDBC while dealing with the processing, because JDBC creates what? Single result set object representing huge number of record given by select query. Final conclusion, JDBC is not outdated. It is still used in projects directly while dealing with huge batch data, right? Okay. And indirectly, all ORM software internally uses what? JDBC. Are you understanding my statement? Okay, guys, 1 minute. Another solution, let me give. Or enable pagination while selecting use number of records. So that we can limit number of objects creation on per page basis. What basis, guys? Number of objects creation on what basis, guys? Page basis, like 100 to 200 records per page. Though we are using Hibernate. Though we are using ORM. Clear, boss? Though we are using ORM. Database software understands only SQL queries. Whatever we use in different layers by getting abstraction, like Hibernate, Spring Data, JPA, ORM, etc., internally uses dynamically generated JDBC code plus SQL queries to interact with the database software to manipulate database data. Yes or no? Na? In Spring or Spring Boot programming, we don't use JDBC Hibernate directly. We use them indirectly through Spring ORM or Spring Data JPA modules. For JDBC style programming in Spring or Spring Boot, use Spring JDBC. For Warm style programming in Spring or Spring Boot, use Spring Warm legacy style. Spring Data JPA is the modern. So this is the leader or not? Ultimately, we are going to learn this model, guys. Ultimately, we are going to learn this model. Yeah, best and latest, guys. Best. Developer, Spring or Spring Boot application, OR mapping persistence logic by using Spring Data JPA. That internally uses what, guys? Spring Data JPA, Spring Boot Data JPL. Here logics are developed based on this module. That internally uses what? Hibernate. Hibernate uses what? JDB. JDBC talks with data. This is modern and latest, guys. Best also. Bit old. Developer develops a Spring Boot application using OR mapping persistence logic. That is developed by using what? Spring ORM or Spring Boot ORM. That internally uses Hibernate, JDBC, and lastly talks with what? Database soft. Bit old. Nowadays people are using Spring Data JPA. Earlier people are using Spring ORM. Bit old, guys. Developer uses what? Spring or Spring Boot application having what? JDBC style persistence logic using SQL queries. That internally uses what? Spring JDBC or Spring Boot JDBC. That uses JDBC technology and talks with what? Database software. So ultimately, who is that, guys? We are preferring working with the Spring Data JPA or not, guys? Spring Data JPA or Spring Boot Data JPA. Anyhow, we are learning everything in Spring Boot style. So it is going to be Spring Boot Data JPA or not, boss? Spring JDBC, Spring Boot JDBC provides abstraction on what? JDBC technology and simplifies application development. JDBC style persistence logic, guys. Spring Boot ORM provides abstraction on Hibernate ORM software, simplifies application development. Spring or Spring Data JPA provides more abstraction on Hibernate ORM framework to simplifies application development more and more. Simplifies ORM style persistence logic takes place. Here, little simplification, here more simplification. Both are providing abstraction on Hibernate only, na boss. Last but not the least, guys, what is the difference between entity class and DAO class? Listen carefully. Entity class is the class that is mapped with a table, whose objects are used representing record performing persistence operation. To use entity class object to perform persistence operation, we need methods. To write these logics, we need method. And those methods are DAO class methods. Clear, guys? DAO is the class where persistence logic is developed. While developing that OR mapping persistence logic, we take the support of entity classes that are represented with the TB table. By using entity class objects only inside the DAO class, we develop the persistence logic. We use JDBC code inside the DAO. While writing OR mapping persistence logic, we use a lot of entity class object to develop the persistence logic inside the DAO class. Check it out. Entity class is Java bean class whose objects represent DB table rows. So these objects can be used for persistence operations. DAO class is Java class that contains what? Persistence logic to perform code operations These persistence logic can be written by using the objects of entity classes. For ORM style or using JDBC code. What is that? Using JDBC code. I hope you convinced it, guys. While working the JDBC, DAO class directly JDBC code. But in OR mapping, what? Classes will be there representing tables. While writing persistence logic, we have to work with objects of those classes. Those classes are nothing but entity classes. So inside the DAO class method, by using entity class objects, OR mapping persistence logic will be developed to perform code operations on database software. To perform code operations on database software. Okay, guys. Why Wari Energy's limited IPO still not showing any allotment updates are? Mr. Maha, are you attending class? Are you doing stock market trading? I think you kept wrong message to wrong place. Mahana. Super. Currently, I have a requirement to export all button which will return Excel file on front end. You should export all the records on table. I can use the code as already written Spring Data JPA in my project. In table, have more than 5 lakh records based on customer data. It is a good to reuse Spring Data JPA code to get all the record. All you recommend plain JDBC. Not both. There is a concept called Spring Boot batch because your batch processing is required, right? Okay, work with the Spring Boot batch that will simplify your job. Spring Boot batch that will simplify your job. I hope you got introduction of Spring Data JPA. Final conclusion is what? In Spring Data JPA, are we going to write persistence logic by using SQL queries or objects? Which class objects? Entity class objects. Entity classes are Java beans or Spring beans? Java beans, not the Spring beans. Aisa boss? Okay. Entity class objects represents what? Records are ORM software. Records through ORM software, right? We will take care of synchronization between objects of entity class and records. ORM software. What do you mean by synchronization? Any modification done in objects reflects to, open your mouth, reflects to records, and any modification done in records reflects to objects. Interesting or not, boss? I hope you understood. At least you got the idea. First I ruled out files. Why files are bad? Files are bad means IO streams are bad. So your core Java IO stream knowledge is useless most of the time. Useful only in few situations. Maximum times it is useless. That's why study. You need it. You need it. But not so seriously. Then we ruled out JDBC. JDBC is there to talk to the database software, but everything we should write as a sincere developer, okay, not going to work out. Then we brought ORM. In ORM, we have option of Spring ORM, Spring Data JPA. Spring ORM is old style of ORM implementation, and Spring Data JPA is a new style of Spring ORM. But remember one thing, original ORM software is not Spring related one, Hibernate. The top link, Eclipse link. These are the original ORM software. Spring modules are providing abstraction on Hibernate and simplifying mapping persistence logic development. If you observe very carefully, already Hibernate, top link, these are frameworks. Spring modules are providing abstraction on framework. That means framework on framework. Abstraction on abstraction, बाप का बाप ऐसा नो ना That means some Spring modules not only providing abstraction on technologies, they are even providing abstraction on frameworks. Yes or no? Na? Here is the example. Spring ORM, Spring Data JPA, both are providing abstraction on Hibernate. What net, guys? So that means Hibernate is already framework providing abstraction on what? JDBC technology. So that means some modules of Spring Boot providing even abstraction on what? Frameworks, not just on technologies. Interesting, boss. Can you send accept request in Facebook? Downloads DevSec tools notes. Already accepted every day, guys. After class, I'll accept. Please send me Spring Boot core project because some exception is coming in YML. I'll send at the weekend, boss, not now. Natraz, where is this? This much bigger, boss. Employee ID, name and department. We have done exactly this application now, boss. My dear, we have done exactly this application, right? Okay. See, we can inject it to one Spring Bean object, not multiple Spring Bean objects. If you want to inject to multiple Spring Bean objects, not possible. You have to make that one as property of another Spring Bean. List employee, not possible. Only to one employee object, it is possible, right? Okay. Oh, escape before asking openings are there. Can you check yourself whether you are eligible or not? Are you ready with the knowledge or not? First, I am asking question, how many assignments you completed? How many tasks you can complete if I give now? First check, right? Keep yourself ready, Ra. Please. Don't behave like a normal guy. Yeah, what is this? Spring Boot and microservices, right? You are asking someone to refer you means you are not confident. Become confident, not me. N number of openings are there in the market. Please. Okay. Yeah, tell me here what is there, guys. Spring Boot microservices. I think I have to create a new folder. What's a new folder I should create, guys? Spring Boot data JPA. Spring Boot data JPA. Here is there. File upload. What is there, guys? Spring here. Where is this? 1102 data JPA 25th October. Done. Thank you, guys. Have a nice time.